Welcome to SVU Pod Especially Heinous. I'm Gabe.
I'm Tasha.
We are on season 6, episode 22. Did I say that weird?
Season 6.
Yes. We were on season 6, episode 22, Parts.
Oh, fuck, dude.
This was good. I think I texted Tasha. I'm like, this episode is enthralling.
Yeah, she did.
So, okay, opening scene, a certified forklift operator, hot. He's in a junkyard. He's putting cars into the car crusher thing. He's being a real hot shot and going all fast. The supervisor is training a guy or something. He's like, don't do what that certified forklift operator is doing. The certified forklift operator.
Stop calling him that. You're doing that just to see how many times you could do it, right?
I'm just doing it because you know all those memes about like 6'4" abs versus forklift operator. And everybody's like, fucking fork. It's like a thing. I don't know.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. Anyway, so the certified forklift operator guy puts 2 cars in at once in the crusher thing. And the boss is like, don't do that shit. He's just showing off.
And the trainee's like, oh.
The second car that is stacked into the crusher kind of falls out a little and it like leans over and it makes one of the doors open. And then a fucking severed head is just dangling from the door. And they're like, what's that? The guy's like, it's a head, which he was like super chill about it, but he's probably seen a lot of shit.
In New York, yeah. Do you want to open your present? If it's a severed head, I'm going to be very upset.
What's in the box? What's in the box?
You always go 7, and I always go Wayne's World with the severed head thing.
Yeah. Both great movies.
Both great. Equally.
Yeah.
For the same reason.
Yeah. Stabler meets with Coroner Warner in her office. The victim is a female in her early to mid-20s, but they only have her head, left leg, and right arm. Her hands were cut off at the wrists, so they couldn't get prints. And Stabler's like, I don't know why you called us. Dismemberment isn't a sex crime. He was real chill about it for some reason. I'd be like, oh my God, what is going on? I mean, this isn't my department, but like, tell me everything. Coroner Warner says that semen was found in her throat and she's been dead less than a day. And fucking Toots fucking says, quote, guy didn't even let her gargle, end quote.
Ew.
What in the actual fuck, NBC?
NBC, what are you doing?
That was fucked up. Nobody even stopped. Nobody even gave him a side A or even was like, what?
And throughout this entire thing, and I note it later, but I'm like, they're adding a lot of zingers in this one. There are so many one-line what the fucks throughout this whole episode. And also, this becomes SVU's case when from the jump, it's like, but did you also call homicide? Did you also call, like, where are the other fucking cops?
There's a chopped up body.
There's like, yeah, but there's some jizz. So, I mean, I get like, yes, it probably goes in order of, you know, precedence and things like that. Or did they just get there first? They're not talking to anybody else. It's just SVU.
FBI.
And they're like, let's break up this organ trafficking ring.
This is an FBI should have been called.
This is a case for the FBI. Kris Jenner. Like, this is not for them.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a really old Kardashians reference.
I don't get it.
This is a case for the FBI. It's a favorite gif of mine of Kris Jenner. Whatever. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good. I didn't even think about that, but that's a really good point. This is an FBI. Yeah. So they just keep going after Toots says that. So her leg has a tattoo on it that says Leon and a surgical scar from a knee replacement. Coroner Warner is going to try and track the serial number on the joint for an ID. Coroner Warner also says that she can't tell them what the weapon is, but the perp knew what they were doing. She says it's no hack job. Each part was, quote, skillfully articulated at the joint by someone who knows exactly what they're doing. Stabler throws out the idea that they could be looking for a butcher, and Coroner Warner thinks it could be a doctor. Theme song.
Also, this made me think of, I'm not going to remember the name because it just popped in my head, but there was a dude who murdered his girlfriend. A body was found in a dumpster with like the fingertips cut off and like the teeth pulled out, like all this shit. But she had implants. So all they did was run the serial numbers on the implants and they're like, this is who it is.
It's so wild.
Fucking insane.
Now we're at the precinct. Huang is brought in for the profile, obviously. He thinks the perp is a sexual sadist, that no matter when he sexually assaulted the victim, whether it was like post or pre-mortem, it's the brutality that was what arouses him. Because there's no blood coagulation, Huang thinks that the perp didn't torture the victim and de-articulated the body parts after she was murdered. By torture, I mean like cutting off limbs while they were alive. I'm sure other stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Munch can't think of why a sadist would do that after. It would be, quote, no fun, which makes sense. You know, if you're a sadist, you want to see them being hurt, you know?
Yeah.
Stabler thinks maybe it's some sicko that chopped her up to see how her parts work. And he says, like a kid pulling wings off of a butterfly.
Like a fucking Dahmer.
Oh, yeah. Bunch says there are no hits in missing persons. Stabler says they don't even have anything to feed into VICAP. Pretty much the only thing they know so far is that the victim had been dead for 24 hours, and that's it. But Huang brings up that she could have been kept in a refrigerator, so it could have been longer. Toots wonders if the perp is a cannibal, but Huang doesn't think so. Munch says maybe he made a lampshade out of her like Ed Gein. What?
I know.
I've never heard anybody say Ed Gein. It's Ed Gein.
It's Ed Gein. I've heard people say it, but I also was like, actually. I got out my actually and was like, it's pronounced Gein.
And I thought something like, I'm from Wisconsin, so I know.
Right. Welcome to the Midwest. Murderers and cheese.
I used to think that the Midwest had the most like prolific serial killers, and then I learned about the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Toots gets a call. The knee replacement was traced to a VA hospital.
Munch and Toots walk and talk with the doctor who does the introductory song and dance they always do. You know I can't discuss a patient, but then immediately gives her full name when they show him a photo. Manette Combs. Yeah. Whoops. Damn it. The doctor who was in The Happening, by the way.
Wait, who? Who was he in The Happening? Doesn't matter.
I don't know. It was very small. It was just a little...
He was a bee. He was dressed up.
He was the wind. He actually just did voiceover work.
He's like dressed up like a blade of grass. Just like glasses and I don't know why I have to do that with my arms. They're like fully over my head.
I know. I'm like, how do I describe it so people know that you're a blade of grass? Okay, so he asks if drugs killed Manette. She had been in detox a few times for Vicodin abuse and heroin. She was injured while deployed in Iraq, which is why she had a knee replacement. She eventually got hooked on the pain meds and the doctor wouldn't give her any more and tried to get her back into rehab. And he never saw her again after that. So he gives them Manette's last known address.
I was convinced it was this guy for like half the episode.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Really? You too? Okay.
Well, just based on, yeah.
Because like the first doctor you meet.
The first doctor you meet.
Early on, and then later there's a twist, and it's
like, oh, she was addicted to drugs. Oh, and then you refused to give her drugs? Did you?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, and you know her address?
Oh, you have her file right behind you. But they all do.
But we never see him again.
Yeah. Goodbye forever. Munch and Toots go to Manette's last known address, which is her mom's place. Doris Combs. She tells Munch and Toots that the army was Manette's life, and then cryptically added, after all that trouble she had in high school, and nobody asked a follow-up question.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know. It meant nothing. Manette had wanted to go back into the army after she recovered, but was medically discharged. Mom hadn't seen her daughter in about 6 or 7 months and didn't know where she'd been living, but thinks Manette's boyfriend, Leon Schragowitz, may know. Gasp. Tattoo. When she's told about the tattoo of Leon's name, Doris is not surprised. Manette was crazy about him, and he really cared about her. He works as a butcher at a kosher slaughterhouse in the Bronx. Gasp, butcher?
They always do this.
I wonder if he's a red herring for a second, but what are the SVU odds? The SVU odds. What are they?
The squads.
What are the squads of that? We'll find out.
Now we're at the slaughterhouse. Toots and Munch go to speak to Leon's boss, but the boss says that Leon's not at work. He called out sick and hasn't called, and he hasn't seen Leon since. It's been like a week. His boss says he's always missing work because of his fucking girlfriend, and this guy won't shut up about the girlfriend. He's just like, ugh, this girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. She's blah. Toots tells him to go get Leon's info. Munch wonders if Leon being missing a week and being a butcher is enough for a warrant.
I like also how they zeroed in on a butcher because Stabes mentioned it, and Coroner Warner, who is a medical forensics expert, was like, I'm pretty sure a doctor. And they're like, yeah, but butcher though. She's like, well, the precision here really says doctor. Well, I'm a man.
She's like, oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Toots, Munch, and Huang are let into Leon's apartment. It's very tidy. Everything is labeled, even his dishes. Munch wonders if he has OCD. Huang says he may be very rigid and not like things out of place. And then Toots says, including his women. Huang also says that he may not like it if somebody disobeys God's laws.
Let's pause a second. So all of his labeling is, this is the Jewish practice of keeping kosher, the separation of meat and dairy. This guy's labeling his dishes and his pots and pans and different areas of the kitchen and all that stuff. That's all he's doing. But they're like, whoa, this seems over the top. But it's Orthodox is like next level strictness to the practice. So it's like the strictest adherence to keeping kosher.
Yeah, they're just really making some leaps. I don't know.
Yeah.
Huang's like, oh, he may not like it if somebody disobeys God's laws. And you're like, what? Hold on now.
Yeah.
He goes on to speculate about Manette's state at the time of her death. She had semen in her throat, which went against the Bible, stating that you shouldn't spill seed unless to procreate. Maybe he got tempted by her to perform a sexual act and then hated himself for it and took it out on her. This is what Huang thinks. Toots finds some bloody work boots, but Leon works at a fucking slaughterhouse. So, I don't know. Right. Toots gets Leon's toothbrush to do a DNA sample. In Coroner Warner's office, she says that the blood on Leon's boots is all animal blood, and the DNA from the toothbrush doesn't match the semen in Manette's throat. Maybe Leon killed her because he caught her with someone else? Coroner Warner says maybe it was whoever she was shooting up with? The tox screen found opiates in Manette's system, so earlier, Coroner Warner said the chemical makeup to be compared to samples that were already in the system in hopes the opiates could be traced back to a dealer, which is wild.
Is that real science?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I'm going to guess no, but let me know if it is. But
I could see that if they find a bunch of stuff, they can like pinpoint that, and then whoever...
Like they can break down what it's all stomped with and stuff, and then... if it's consistent with other stuff they find, I guess, that's plausible. They use that technology to figure out KFC's 11 herbs and spices.
And of course, Coroner Warner got a match. Approved. The opiate in Manette's system was sold under the street name Shock and Awe. A couple of kilos were seized the month before in Crown Heights.
Well, let's go to Crown Heights. OMG. Everything about this scene was just for me. Canadian tuxedo Stabler and Grimace hoodie Toots get out of their car on the streets of Crown Heights. A big boy in a fur-trimmed coat asks, "Can I help you, officers?" He tries not talking when they ask him about Manette, but Stabler has a zinger holstered. "Hey, if you don't start talking, you're really going to see some shock and awe." Get it? The callback about that.
Got him.
He's like, "Yeah, I know about the product." And he's like, all right. Well, I'll tell you, he knows Manette, but hasn't seen her since the week before. And he knows she's got money. Cut to Munch, dressed like the Grim Reaper, walking and talking with a coworker of Manette. Turns out she was doing sex work. And he asks the woman he's walking with who the last person Manette was with. Munch and Toots find the guy who is so helpful. He tells them that...
He really is. He's like, yeah.
Very detailed, very helpful to tell police of the illegal things he was doing. He and Manette exchanged money for services, and when they were done, a guy ran up and started slapping her around. Munch shows him a photo of Leon, and the guy recognized him as the one who was hitting Manette and drug her off. Leon's been around all week, going in and out of the synagogue across the street from where they're talking. This guy was clutch in information for these guys. So Munch and Toots go into the synagogue. They put on yarmulkes and go find Leon. The synagogue is full of Hasidic Jewish guys praying, and they're all traditionally dressed in their hats and stuff. Like, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say a traditionally dressed Hasidic Jewish man. As in, they're all wearing the same stuff as each other. Munch and Toots jackpotted immediately in the game of whack-a-mole. Like, they're all facing the other direction with their heads down, wearing the same hat with the white collar and the black outfit. They tap on a guy's shoulder and Leon's like, "Oh, what?"
Yeah.
Hole in one. "You need to come in for questioning." He was acting like he'd been waiting for them. He was just like, "Yeah, okay, let's go."
Now at the precinct, Leanne is being interviewed by Munch and Stabler. He's real skittish. He's upset. Leanne says he met Manette in a park and he could tell that she needed help. He told her that God could ease her suffering if she became observant. Munch asks how he found out Manette was using drugs. He says that she came over one night high and she told him about what happened to her in Iraq and he felt really sorry for her. He wanted to marry her, but she needed to get clean first. Munch asks him if he killed Manette because of the drugs or because of the sex work. He gets pissed. He says that Manette made herself unclean by touching that dude. Stabler asks Leon if that's why he chopped her up, and he's like, what? And then Stabler says, where's the rest of her? Leon is like, I did not fucking cut her up. I loved her. Stabler asks him then why did he kill her? The music goes from 6 to midnight and is engorged. He starts crying and says he begged her to get clean, but she wouldn't stop using drugs because that's not how addiction works, my friend. And he saw what she did in the alley. She desecrated her body. They were arguing and he pushed her and she fell down the stairs in the subway. When he checked on her, she was dead. And he wanted to throw himself in front of a train, but suicide is a sin.
I like how suicide's a sin, but leaving somebody that you just fucking killed, that's a gray area.
Yeah.
Fucking dickhole. Jump in front of a fucking train.
It happened the Friday before around 4 p.m. He says he didn't mean to kill her. Behind the glass in Cragen's menagerie, Iago was in there and is throwing his voice to sound like Jasmine to allure Aladdin to come in. Now, you're supposed to do it.
Aladdin, I'm in the menagerie.
Cragen thinks Leon is lying, of course, but Munch thinks he's telling the truth. Munch says that if it happened on Friday, Leon wouldn't have enough time to move her and dismember her before sundown, which is the start of Shabbos. Munch says that there's no way Leon's going to be anywhere on Friday after sunset except in shul. Toots comes in. Someone picked up a dead body in the same subway station at 4:40 on Friday in one piece. They got to figure out who the fuck cut her up. Now we're at the hospital. A doctor says that he performed an autopsy saying that he assumed she tripped on the stairs because she was high. Her C1 and C2 vertebrae were damaged. Stabler tells the doctor that someone pushed her and wonders why he didn't try to ID her. All they had to do was run prints. She's a fucking veteran. Mm-hmm. He says that it was impossible. He's like, this is impossible. I don't know what's going on. The first thing they always do is run the prints. His assistant, Mark Mogan, was in charge of that task. And Stabler's like, did you see him do it? And he's like, no. And he says what he does.
Does he?
Does he, though, Mark Mogan? Mark Momo?
You do, Mark Mogan.
All unclaimed bodies are sent to Potter's Field. Are they?
Boop. Coroner Warner's office. We got a pine wood box they got from Potter's Field before it was buried. Coroner Warner pries it open while Munch stands by. It doesn't look to have been tampered with, so they're hoping the rest of Manette's remains are in the box. Nope. Coroner Warner gets a fun line now. Someone at the Brooklyn ME's office sandbagged us because these aren't body pieces. They're sandbags. There's sandbags in here. They sandbagged us. It's two different. Yeah. So there's sandbags in the box. Munch thinks it was the assistant the doctor had mentioned, Mark Mogan. Because sandbags are a thing, but it's also a thing that someone does when they're tricking you.
Move along.
It's
time.
Mark is brought in for questioning by Toots and Stabes. And they're going hard. We found your semen in a severed head, dude. What? You know, abusing a corpse is a crime, Mark? A what? Mark says that he just ships out bodies and denies having done anything to Manette's body. They tell him with this shit, now 36 other bodies he processed are being exhumed. So then Mark starts talking because, yikes.
Wait, it was his semen?
No, they were just saying a bunch of shit.
I was like, because I thought it was the other guy. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no, they're like, we found your jizz. And he's like, what? Trying to get, see his reaction. They tell him with this shit, now 36 other bodies he's processed are being exhumed. So he starts talking because he knows what they're going to fucking find. They're going to find boxes of sandbags. He tries to justify taking them, saying he donated them to science. But Uncle Toots is yelling, and that's scary. So he admits that he was selling them, actually. Mm-hmm. He got $2,000 a body selling them to someone named Russell Bianco. I call a number and he meets me. That's all I know. Toots and Stabler look at each other like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? To the costume closet.
Yes. Stabler, when he's in costume, is so fun.
He is.
He's always like,
such a fun undercover.
Yeah, he always has like this little confidence. And he's like, I don't care about anything. I'm just a regular guy.
Yeah, this one is a really good example of that. So we see a back alley, chain link fence, whatever area behind a building. Stabler hops out of his morgue van, not his van, in some scrubs, not his scrubs, and shows Bianco his city ID, not his ID. We know he's fucking killing it because he's pretending to chew gum. He's so undercover. He's like, yeah, hey, what's up? Oh, I'm just here to, here's my ID. I got it.
Morgan sent me.
Morgan sent me. Yeah, I work with them. I want in. Hey, haha, yeah. You see the game? Like, just very trying to play it really cool. Selling a body.
Yeah.
Stabes gets money for the body and tells Bianco he can get him even more bodies because his cousin works in the Manhattan morgue. Bianco gives him his card and tells him to stay in touch. So as they carry the body into wherever Bianco's taking it, we pan to Munch and Toots staking out in the car, and they're just watching. Munch makes a House of Wax reference that Toots doesn't get and hates, and then they drive away.
Yeah. That was funny. He's like, the what? I hate you.
Vincent Price, you heard of him? And Toots is like, fucking A, Munch.
Vincent Price is fucking awesome, though. Iconic.
Yeah. But we're an odd couple and we get along, but we don't. Let's go. Let's go do our fucking job.
Right. So Munch and Toots follow Bianco to a college campus. Bianco is unloading a van full of coolers, and his jacket says APS, Anatomical Procurement Services, on the back. Inside...
Are you just going to skip where they call this guy a sleazoid?
I didn't hear that.
Oh my God, when they pulled up, I don't remember which one said it, but they were like, let's get this sleazoid. And I'm like, what is this writing?
Inside, Bianco's talking to a doctor, and the doctor's pissed because Bianco didn't deliver enough knees or legs to the campus anatomy lab. The professor is pissed. He's like, dude, this is like a insane school. These kids are not going to share. Like, they're not used to sharing knees.
Oh, because it's fucking some fancy school.
Yeah.
They're like, you think they're supposed to dissect a knee together? What's this, high school science? These aren't frogs.
Toots and Munch walk in, and the professor tells them to chill out, and the paperwork is all there. Everything's fucking fine. Bianco tries to not suspiciously just walk away. He was just like, they were talking, and he just kind of like turns sideways and starts like walking away. And they're like, no. He's like, I gotta make some deliveries. They're like, yeah, the fuck you do, bud. Toots arrests Bianco for dismembering bodies and selling them, of course.
You're not going to Three Stooges tiptoe away from SVU detectives when you were just fucking caught buying a dead body.
Yeah. So now we're at the precinct. Bianco is being questioned by Novak and Craig.
Pink Panther fucking...
Yeah, right. So at the precinct, Bianco is being questioned by Novak and Craig. He does actually work for a mortuary that provides anatomical specimens to colleges. Novak tells him it's illegal to make a profit from selling body parts. Oh, is it? She's like, you know this is illegal, and here's why. And you're like, he knows why it's illegal.
He knows that's why he was.
That's why he's in this room.
Away. If he hasn't put this together by now, there's a hell of a lot bigger problem that this guy has to deal with.
Bianco says the money the mortuary charges is just for logistics, not profit. It's a vital, legal, and above-board gig. Novak says, quote, as long as the bodies are donated, not paid for, who donated the body in the back of your van right now? He says he doesn't know, but he can provide the paperwork. Cragen asks if he has the paperwork for Manette. She wasn't an organ donor. Novak tells him that they know he bought Manette's body from Mark, chopped her up, and sold her parts, and dumped what he couldn't sell. I was like, how could you not sell a head? And then I was like, okay, duh. Why would anybody want a fucking head? I mean, yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
He says he doesn't know what they're talking about. And then Stabler comes in and plays the recording of the conversation from the body sale. And dude's like, you set me up? Yeah, we did, guy. Yeah.
Oh, man, you were a cop.
This whole time, this guy didn't do jumping.
Put your scrubs in your van. You got me.
Me? What? I can't believe it.
And Coroner Warner fucking karate chops the door and goes, feels like you were sandbagged, doesn't it?
Shut up. Stabler shows him a picture of her fucking head and asks where the rest of her is. Bianco says, I don't know, ask my lawyer. He's so pissed at Stabler. He's like, so we're not getting lunch then?
I really liked you.
I felt a connection. I thought we were going to be friends. I was going to have a couple beers with you, man.
I was thinking about how I was going to tell my other buddy about it. I was going to be like, I met this cool guy today.
I was going to shake your hand, sir.
I was like, he's going to get us so many bodies from Manhattan.
You got a couple tears coming down. I feel really, really hurt. Today you have hurt me, sir.
I'm going to need a minute.
Somebody have your fucking Kleenex?
No, it's fine. I'm fine.
No, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I'm fine. It's totally...
Don't touch me.
Do not touch me.
I could use a hug, actually.
We're really good at fake crying right now because I yawned and my eyes watered.
Between my throat and my period cramps, I could just bust into a full-blown
This could turn into...
sob.
Why are you crying? Bianco thought he made a friend and he didn't. You know how hard it is for dudes to open up to each other, man? The society?
He did really. It's like, this is why my policy is no new friends.
This
is why. Because I'll try to sell a body to somebody and they'll be an undercover cop and I'll end up in an interrogation room and they recorded my conversation with them.
That's so violating.
Happens. That's what happens. Okay.
This is why men need to stand side by side with women to dismantle the patriarchy because it hurts us too. Okay, enough.
Okay.
I'm like literally about to cry.
I know.
Okay.
Not emotionally, just physically.
Yeah. Later, Cragen wonders if Bianco has a stolen leg to stand on right now.
Oh, another one of those zingers.
Novak reviews all the facts that are stacked against him. He doesn't have a stolen leg to stand on.
Nope.
Bianco ripped donated bodies from his employer, and he even bought a few, quote, stiffs from the city morgue. Jesus Christ, guys, chill. Toots reviewed Bianco's financials. He pays for a lot of storage space at a wine cellar, and it's climate controlled. They got to call Coroner Warner.
He's probably not a wine collector. That's just my prediction. The music swells as Coroner Warner leads Munch and Toots through a blue-lit storage room lined with utility shelving stacked with totes. And she comes in, head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. It is just full of body parts, organs and shit. One person's body is still intact. Coroner Warner points out a stitched up wound on their back, the kind you get from removing a kidney. But the wound had started the healing process. His organ was harvested while he was still alive.
Oof.
Well, this is a horse of a different color.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're like, sorry.
So back at her office, Coroner Warner is with Munch and Stabes, and she had done an autopsy on the person who'd had their kidney taken. He had died from a pulmonary embolism. Based on the precision, Coroner Warner is ruling out Bianco as the surgeon because he's stupid. A professional had to have done it. No hospital records can be traced to the surgery, and John Doe did not show signs of renal disease. The only reason to remove a healthy kidney is to donate it or sell it on the black market. And this is where I'm like, can we remind ourselves here that the only reason SVU is on the case because they found semen in the throat of a severed head?
Yeah.
Do we not expand to homicide or what the fuck?
I know. It should have stopped when they found the person whose semen it was and then handed over to, I mean, everybody should have been on it immediately, but they should have nothing to do with it anymore.
They're like, oh my God, so much paperwork to transfer. Let's just finish this up. Black market organs, cool.
You got it.
We're on top of this one. No. It's not too out of our wheelhouse. We got it. It's like...
This is my collar, dude.
I've ridden a bike before. It's totally fine. We cut to the precinct where Cragen's learning something new every day because he just goes, you gotta be kidding me. The John Doe was Thomas Tiller. It's possible that he was unhoused and Bianco paid him for his kidney and jacked up the price to sell it to a wealthy person. And everybody's like, oh, what is this world coming to? People are crazy. Because this isn't something they deal in at the SVU.
Right.
Kwong argues that our system is fucked and there's not enough donors. People sell their sperm and eggs. Why not a kidney? The exploitation wouldn't happen if that was an option. And so this kind of goes back and forth. But Cragen gets us back on track because as of now, this isn't doing anything. Kwong tells them their next step is to check the National Transplant Clearing Center. Everyone on their list waiting for a kidney is a potential suspect.
So now Munch and Toots are talking to the manager at the National Transplant Clearing Center Regional Headquarters. And he is not happy about the subpoena for the list of patients.
This is Isaiah Whitlock. He was in seasons 1 and 2.
Yeah,
I
just wrote, who is this guy?
Yeah. He was in seasons 1 and 2. He'll be back 3 more times after this. He played a tiny role as a doctor in Goodfellas. He played State Senator R. Clayton Davis in 25 episodes of The Wire. Ronald in Cedar Rapids. Remember that movie? George Maddox in Veep for 7 episodes. He oftentimes plays like a judge or a senator or some kind of like political person, or he looks good in a suit.
Yeah.
This guy.
He's not happy about the subpoena for the list of patients. He says that the people are sick and have a right to privacy. There are 5,000 people on the list and there were only 1,000 donors. The ones who don't get a kidney die, and the lucky ones are still on dialysis. 700 names are on the list for them to start going through. At the top of the list is Dr. Amy Solway. Remember her from season 5?
Yeah, she was assisting end-of-life care, like suicides, in season 5, episode 22, Painless. And then we did the chaser on Jack Kevorkian. But the part about this scene that's so fucking hilarious, the guy goes and pulls up this list on the computer, on a 2005 computer, and from across the room, nearly 40-year-old Stabler and 60-something Munch saw the 12-point typeface on the screen. And we're like, Amy Solway. I could barely see it zoomed all the way in.
No, I absolutely didn't catch that, but you're 100% correct. That was crazy.
Yeah. They were like at the door and the guy's at his desk and they're like, does that say Amy Solway? You can't read that.
Yeah.
Stop it.
So Munch goes to visit with Amy. She was compassionately released from prison 3 months ago. She did end up having the kidney transplant, but her body rejected it. She says that she guessed the state didn't want to keep paying her hospital bill. He tells her how he found her with the NTCC list. She's like, what are you doing here? They kind of talk about how she's at the top due to an end-stage renal failure, and now she has heart damage because of it. She's next in line as soon as a perfectly healthy person is murdered or has a terrible accident. And it's kind of not something anyone hopes for another person, but on the other hand, her position is hard too. It's got to be rough.
Yeah.
But Amy says it's better than the alternative. So yeah, when she says it's better than the alternative, I thought that was kind of wild because like her position the season ago was she was just like really wanting to die because she was in so much pain all the time. I think she even rejected a kidney. But no, she ended up taking it. But I think it was because after her and Munch had that talk, he wanted her to go on the list or something. And she was like, I just want this to end. And why do you care? And he's like, because I care about you. I just do. Remember?
Oh,
they have a couple of heart-to-hearts. I mean, this is why he went and talked to her, because
we have a rapport.
It was also related to his father, because his father did that or something.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. His father died by suicide.
Mm-hmm. Munch asks her if she ever thought about going to the black market. She says, are you going to bust me if I say yes? Munch kind of gets a kick out of her joking with him. He's like, Amy says people say it's wrong to sell kidney, but then how come they pay everyone else? The transplant team, the NTCC, the hospitals. And Munch says the people who make the rules aren't dying. And then she's like, why did you come here? What's going on? He tells her about the John Doe and that how he had her blood type and died after trying to sell his kidney on the black market. And then she's like, I don't have to go to the black market because I'm at the top of the list.
Yeah.
What you guys need to do is start at the bottom, which is a great point.
Yes.
Now we're at Boyd Outpatient Dialysis Center. Munch is talking to a patient who's hooked up to a machine. She's pretty young, too. She says that she's number 37 on the list, and she's been on the list for 5 years. But people who are sicker than her get to move up. She isn't having major problems yet, but would like to get off dialysis and have a life. In Peru, you can get a kidney in 48 hours. People line around the block to sell them, which I didn't know. She would go there, but doesn't have $100K for a transplant. And then she says, here, I'll probably die waiting. And I'm like, ugh. And then I wonder if 2005, if this was a big topic in the news or something, because they're really focusing on everyone's personal opinions and ethics around selling organs. Like it's something that we as a audience should be wrestling with as well. But I wonder if it was like a bigger thing going on. It was just maybe more talked about back then.
I don't know. I mean, there's always been the old wives' tales about, don't go to New Orleans because you're going to fucking wake up in a bathtub full of ice, that kind of shit. But yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, I wonder if they were like about the legality of it. Like they all seem to be wrestling with it in a way that would make me think that the audience would be as well equally.
Right.
Which makes me think that maybe this was a hot topic in 2005.
Like maybe there was something
in the news,
like
or
a bill or something on the
Yeah.
floor.
That people were like, oh, what do I do?
I mean, it's pretty crazy how recent in some countries laws have been passed to make it illegal. Like I can't remember what country it was. I read something. It wasn't until like 94 or 96 that they were like, yeah, we're not going to let you do that.
Sell your body parts?
But I didn't find anything in everything that I read. I didn't find anything that was specific to this time frame.
So Munch is talking to a bunch of other people there as well. There's an older gentleman who has way more than enough money to buy a kidney, but he would rather not spend the money because he lives a good life and wants to be able to give the money to his grandkids. The next is a couple, and oh my God, the dude is so upset that they spent $90,000 on their wedding, and now he can't afford to save her, and he leaves the room. Oof. The wife says that they've all heard rumors about where to go in the black market, but they're just rumors. Next are the parents of a young boy. The parents didn't know when they got pregnant that they both carry an abnormal gene for polycystic kidney disease. Their kid has been sick since he was 3 and he's now 7. Their son's been on the list for 2 years, and all of the stories are heart-wrenching.
Back at the precinct, they're speculating shit until Daddy comes in to get them back to task. They need focus on finding the surgeon that took the kidney out of the victim and the next buyer. James McGovern, little Kyle's dad, who's praying for a miracle, was debt-free until recently. He took out a second mortgage, drained Kyle's college fund, and took out cash advances on his credit card, adding up to $125,000, which is how much was deposited into Bianco's account.
Ooh, shit.
And I knew this guy wasn't going to be a one-off because he looked too familiar. He played Virgil in The Walking Dead and John Murphy in The Leftovers. So the silhouettes of Munch and Stabler visit Shadow Bianco in jail. That's just another joke about it being dark. It's dark in there. So they just go there. They're talking to him. He admits to making a deal with McGovern, but won't admit he sold him a kidney. Bianco's trying to act like he's saving lives. He's like, I'm a hero. I'm the future, bro. And they go back and forth about it. It's like they want him to agree that what he's doing is selfish and slimy, but he's not going to.
Yeah.
Bianco brings up how many people he sees in the mortuary that aren't organ donors and how mad it makes him that people's lives can't be saved. And Munch says, well, that's their choice. Bianco keeps going, yeah, you wouldn't be saying that if it was your mother. You'd be begging for my number. Mm-hmm. And here comes that fucking clutch writer's room. Stabler goes, yeah, well, your number's up, pal. Munch tells him they can get him reduced time if he gives up the surgeon. And Bianco's just like, oh my God, you guys didn't hear a word I said. Which makes me think he does have some motive beyond just making money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like tippity top, but also does not see what he's doing harmful in any way.
Yeah.
Later, Munch and Stabes walk and talk out of the jail, and they're talking about the balls on Bianco. This guy thinks he's the second coming. Munch is an organ donor. I'm not surprised. And Stabler isn't, and I'm equally not surprised. And Munch is like, you didn't check that little box on your license? Why? And Stabes just goes, I don't know.
So is there a thing about that?
What do you mean?
Because you said you were equally surprised that Stabler, is it bad? Is this like a bad thing?
I don't want to put a blanket statement on it because body autonomy is its own thing. I would just hope that someone would do their due diligence to know why they're not doing it. You know what I mean? Not just go, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I would hope that someone would weigh the pros and cons a little bit more because you could literally save someone's life. But also, it's totally okay if you don't want to. And you don't have to answer to fucking me about it. But I don't know. That's just my thought about it. But so Stabler's like, I don't know. I just don't want to. But Munch, the ghost of Christmas Rats, knows why. He's afraid to face his mortality. And that's a really heavy fucking thing to say. And then your phone rings and you're like, excuse me a second. Munch answers his phone. Toots had dumped Bianco's phone records and saw that Amy Solway had been contacting him. So maybe she does have more to do with it than she initially said.
Cut to Munch and Stabes at Amy's house. Amy says that everyone who needs a kidney knows about Bianco. Who even fucking cares? Stabler tells her that she called him a few dozen times over the past few months, even though she's at the top of the NTCC list. Why does she need Bianco? And she says it's for insurance in case her next transplant doesn't work. Munch ain't buying it and wants to know if she's setting Bianco up with clients and getting paid for it.
Yeah.
Ooh. She says that she would do that shit for free. Munch says that her stint in assisted suicide didn't teach her anything. What are you talking about?
I love how she's so... I mean, first of all, she knows where the organs are coming from, so she knows that what she's doing is not... Because there are dark-ass things on the black market, but he's, like, trying to corner her, like, oh, maybe you're doing this and you're getting paid. And she's like, no, I would do that shit for free. Like, you're very much on the right track, but I don't even care that you know that.
Yeah. So Munch says that her stint in assisted suicide didn't teach her anything, and she says that it fucking did, because now she helps people live instead of die. Ooh, Stabler tells her she's still breaking the law, though. And then she tells them to arrest her. Stabler's like, we don't fucking want to, dude. We don't want you. We want the surgeon performing the transplants. Amy is pissed and says that the dude is saving goddamn lives. Munch tells her she's going to go back to jail if she doesn't tell them his name. And Stabler tells her she's going to get taken off the list if they find out she's been dealing with the black market. She looks at Munch and asks if he would let her die. Damn. And he tells her that if she gives him names, they'll make sure no one knows she was involved.
I like how Stabler, too, was like, well, if you don't tell us, you're going to go to jail. She's like, I literally just told you to arrest me.
Yeah. Munch and Stabler walk into the McGoverns and his young son's hospital room, and he's fucking begging them to stop.
This pissed me off so much.
I know. McGovern is arrested in the hospital in front of his fucking kid.
Gross.
Stabler and Munch, go into the operating room. A man's kidney is being taken out to give to Kyle McGovern. They're right in the middle of it. The surgeon tells them to get the fuck out or they could contaminate shit. The kidney is going into little Kyle. Stabler tells the doctor that the kidney is absolutely not going anywhere because it's evidence. Oh my God. The doctor's being arrested for trafficking body parts. And he's like, can I fucking sew this guy up? And he's like, yeah, do it.
Yeah. Why don't you do that?
The surgery is done, and the doctor tells Stabler that he has less than 24 hours to transplant his kidney. Stabler tells the doctor that that's not happening and to get changed. The doctor says he's not going anywhere until the donor wakes up and Kyle is sent to the ER.
Oh, you know who he was in The Happening? A news anchor.
Oh. Kyle is in a hypertensive crisis and he needs the kidney like now. Stabler tells him that the law says he can't save Kyle in this way. You can see Stabler is conflicted, but calms down and tells the doctor to check the patients before they take him in. Munch and Toots are trying to figure out a way to make this all work. Cut to the NTCC. The manager guy tells Stabler that they cannot accept the kidney that's been paid for. It would tarnish their reputation. Oh my God. Stabler's like, fuck your reputation, dude. This could save a kid's life. But the NTCC has a hard enough time finding organs. They can't risk the bad press. And neither can their future patients. This is a tough one, guys. Stabler asks officially if the manager is turning their back on the healthy kidney, and the guy's like, yeah, we won't take it. Stabler calls Munch to tell him that the NTCC won't take the kidney, and then Munch says it doesn't matter. Kyle is too unstable for the transplant now anyways. Oh my God.
Stabler is hauling ass into the precinct where Novak's waiting. She tells him Munch, McGovern, and the doctor are nowhere to be found. She's like, I'm just fucking sitting here with my dick in my hand. Where are these guys? Munch isn't even answering his phone. We know where this is going, right? So bloop, bloop. Those two run off to the hospital to see if there's a problem with Kyle or the donor, because that's the only explanation, right? Something happened and the doctor needed to take care of somebody. Right away when we walk in, we see Munch pushing Solway in a wheelchair to an exam room. This. Novak's about to take Solway out to the car when Munch grabs Stabler by the shirt with his massive balls and yells, leave her out of this. Novak tells him they didn't drag her into it and takes Solway out to the car. Staves and Munch stay back to talk, and Staves is like, what the fuck, dude? None of us go outside the lines of our job or the law ever. I just can't compute what you're doing. A sexy robot in the corner rolls out, compute this, and starts vibrating on an EKG machine. Get a load of my infusion pump.
Isn't this the episode
It
where...
looks over at an anesthesia machine. I'd intubate her. And then the med station just starts spitting out Viagra.
The med machine is actually like the cuck. He's like in the chair in the room. He's just sitting there watching. isn't this the episode after his daughter had a DUI and he had like a courtesy shield and fucking...
Yes. That's the joke.
Yeah.
Anyway. So they're going back and forth about the gray of it all. And Stabler says it's not right allowing this black market kidney to be used. And Munch argues it's just going to get fucking thrown away. Why do that when we can save a life? Oh, and then he treads on thin ice. If that was your son in there, ooh, you push the activate dad mode button, Munch. Well, it's not my son in there. We're not talking about my son. Stabler tries to get Munch to understand that he's gonna get fucked by everybody involved. Novak saw him, and she's ethical as fuck. The doc's just gonna throw him under the bus for a better deal. He's right behind me, isn't he? Stabler turns around, and Dr. Swan is in the doorway. How embarrassing. The doctor goes, Munch didn't ask me to give Amy the kidney. The doctor knew that she needed one, and it was his idea, and he's ready to be arrested. So he admits to orchestrating all of it and Munch having nothing to do with it. Like on record to a cop says this. So arrest me. Everybody's out for everybody else here. At the car, Novak asks Amy, like this was very Dead Poets Society, the way they were all had each other's backs. At the car, Novak asks Amy if Munch brought her to the hospital. Amy says that she would never admit to it in court. And
she doesn't give a fuck.
No. Novak isn't as by the book as she seems. And she says to Amy, read my lips carefully. John Munch never came to your apartment tonight. He never brought you here. In fact, you don't even know where this place is. Got it? And Amy's like, yeah.
You also don't have to tell me to read your lips because that's what I do.
That's how I communicate with people. But, you know.
Read my lips. It's like, that's not as sassy of a thing as you think it is.
But also,
in this situation.
Like, you're not telling me anything that I wasn't already going to do. Deny till I die, bitch. Like, that's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing. You just got here.
Yeah. I want to admit it in court. I'm going to tell you what you won't admit in court. She's like, I know this already.
I'll never admit that in court. Okay, but hey, don't admit it in court. All right. Yep.
It's all your idea.
You did that.
Yeah.
Back at the precinct, Stabler's at his desk reviewing files when Amy comes in. She wants to know about McGovern's arrest and what's going to happen next. Stabler tells her that he'll be turned over to the FBI and go to prison for buying the kidney. Amy argues that McGovern had to buy the kidney for his son. Kyle's going to fucking die without it. Stabler understands why McGovern did it, but there's nothing he can do. My hands are tied.
Right.
Amy says she's the one who told SVU about Dr. Swan, so her information led them to interrupting Kyle's transplant. If he dies, she's going to have to live with that for the rest of her life, and so will Stabler. So you can't just throw that my hands are tied bullshit at me.
Yeah.
Later, Stabler goes to get McGovern, who's just sitting in some room in the precinct, and turn him over to the FBI. McGovern asks to go to the hospital on the way to see his fucking kid who's dying, but Stabler tells him they can't. McGovern tells Stabler about Kyle getting sick and how he asked his dad what dying was like. I mean, we're at the top level on the dad scale. 5 million, whatever.
Yeah.
The dad equivalent of Scoville units is. McGovern is pleading with Stabler. He's 5 million. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
this
is
the last dab of Hot Wings.
This is the Hot Ones dab on the final.
Yeah.
Do you know who started that?
Who?
Machine Gun Kelly. That's funny that you bring up
you know what?
the final dab thing.
I did just see that.
Yeah.
The little clip. Yeah.
That he's the one who started that on Hot Ones. That's so weird that, yeah. Anyway, McGovern's pleading with Stabler. He promised his fucking son that he would be there to wake him up at the hospital. You would think that... Anyway.
And classic Stabler. We're in Kyle McGovern's room. Kyle wakes up to Stabler waiting for him. Kyle asks where his dad is, and Stabler says that his dad asked Stabler to be there for him. Like, dad's the ultimate dad, so why does anybody need another dad to be there? No, I'm your dad. I'm everybody.
He's wearing a fucking...
World's Best Dad shirt.
He's wearing a World's Best Dad old-timey military uniform fucking knights thing. I have come in his stead.
Yeah.
For I am the father of fathers, mother of dragons, like whatever. Fucking shut up, Stabler. Like, let this guy see his kid before he fucking dies.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Stabler's there because his dad he's an ass, whatever. Kyle wants to know why his dad isn't there, and Stabler tells him that his dad loves him very, very much and would do anything in the world to make Kyle well again, but explain that his dad did something wrong. Kyle asks if his dad robbed a bank or something, but Stabler says it was from breaking the law to get him a kidney. He was just trying to help you. And then Kyle asks why it was wrong. At a cafe, Stabler meets up with Munch. He tells Munch that it took a lot of balls to do what he did with Amy. And Munch tells him that he needs to sleep at night, you know? I gotta sleep. Stabler lets him know that McGovern was pleading out and was sentenced to 18 months. Where's the mom? She was there when they went to the house?
I don't remember. No, she wasn't.
Oh, yeah, when they first interviewed them, there was two. It was a couple. It was the guy and his mom talking about the kid.
Oh, yeah. Who knows? Well, I mean, Dad made the decisions, I guess, or who knows? Also, where's Benson?
I know.
Not here. I'll tell you that much.
Munch says that no one should have to choose between breaking the law and saving their kid. Stabler tells him that Kyle got moved to the top of the list and Amy just went to the hospital to receive her new kidney from a motorcycle accident victim. So Munch shows up at the hospital. Amy's taking off and Munch is like, where the fuck are you going? She's just going home. Amy is refusing her transplant because she was the reason Kyle isn't getting his new kidney. If she turns it down, the kidney she was supposed to get will go to him. Munch tells her that she could die waiting for the next one, and Amy takes his hand and tells him that she will take her chances. And then Amy leaves. Toyota. This was so, like, the juxtaposition between both episodes with her is crazy. Munch was like begging her to live and try. She does. She gets in trouble. Each episode shows like this fucking weird lack of control Munch has over another human's, well, or anybody has over like another human's like personal opinions on life and death regarding themselves. It's fucking.
But like, why is he so heavily invested in this one person specifically? I think because he respects her and what she's doing on like both fronts.
Yeah.
Okay, this whole episode boils down to the ethical debate of organ sales and body autonomy. So that's what I'm gonna talk about. It feels really cut and dry. Like to me, maybe because of my ignorance kicking off, that I was like, well, yeah, body autonomy. People get to make their own choices about their own body and da-da-da-da.
I need to revisit this because I don't even think about it. And I think I don't know anything about it. And that's why I'm basing it on fear.
There's a reason it's so messy. Well, not organ donation. That's a whole thing in itself. That's a separate thing, you know, just donating your organs. That's why you can go, my kidney is a match for my dad. You're allowed to go and donate your fucking kidney to that person. You know what I mean? You can't make money for it. There's different laws in different areas too. State to state, there's laws about people being compensated in like time off of work. That kind of stuff can be taken care of, but you can't make any money from it. Okay, so in Schleffendorf versus Society of New York Hospital decision in 1914, Justice Benjamin Cardozo determined that, quote, every human being of adult years and sound mind has a right to determine what shall be done with his own body. And that logic would roll over into the right to sell our own organs, but the debate is in the harm of the organ trade outweighing the individual right. Okay, so it's just swimming in the ethics argument. And honestly, there are convincing arguments on both sides that I did not think I was going to see. And the current market is mostly awful, obviously. It's called the red trade or the blood market and is peppered all around the world. It is illegal to sell an organ everywhere except Iran.
Oh, okay. So it's changed since this episode. Obviously.
It's legal in Iran.
Okay.
That whole system isn't a great litmus test for the argument to legalize it.
Yeah.
So many things would need to be put into place. And it's being used a lot in the argument, like, well, look what's happening here, you know. But there are a lot of things that you can put in place to make it different. But anyway, I'm not going to go down that path. That's a whole same thing, but other thing. But anyway, also in China, there's been a long practice of harvesting organs from executed prisoners. The numbers were actually really staggering. There's supposedly been a stop put to it, but there's also schools of thought that are like, no, there's not a stop. It's an extremely difficult market to do research on or report on because nobody fucking talks in the current black market of it. But it's estimated that at least 10% of organ transplants that we know about in the United States are red trade organs.
And that's just the black market.
Yes.
Okay.
And this shit is fucking money for the middlemen. A liver can get them $200,000. A pancreas has gone for over $500,000. It's just the highest bidder, you know? How much can you pay to save your life?
Yeah.
And the majority of buyers are from the US, Canada, some European countries, very wealthy.
Yeah.
Right? Obviously. So I watched this National Geographic doc called Trafficked with Mariana Van Zeller about the organ trade. And she traveled to Colombia to get some interviews with traffickers. And the cross-section of organ trafficking with drug and human trafficking seems obvious, you know, but I'm not sure how it runs in other parts of the world. But at least in this area, it seems really obvious because the cartels run a lot down there.
Yeah.
So the Darien Gap is known as a heavily run smuggling channel between Panama and Colombia. How much do you know about the Darien Gap?
I've never heard those words put in this together in a sentence. I actually was like milk and pants. You know,
Dad.
Well, I don't
Milk and dairy and gap. The Darien Gap. It's just this stretch of like dense jungle and dangerous river.
You know about that stuff because you like mob and drug trade stuff. Like you probably watch Narco and stuff, you know?
Oh, no. I know about it because a journalist buddy of ours, Jason, actually traveled it for this crazy show he was doing. I should find it. It looked scary as hell. He willingly, unprotected, went on this journey with dudes on one of the most dangerous trafficking routes in the world just to do it, just to see what people go through and to document it.
That's crazy.
Like we're watching this trailer with him and I'm like, I'm terrified for you and you did it already and it's over and you're done and you're sitting here at our house in Wisconsin. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope he's okay. But anyway, so it's just this insanely dangerous. Like you don't just go there, but he is one of the most interesting people I've ever met in my life. Anyway, so the Darien Gap is a part of this travel. And Natalie, Colombia is a point of congestion for migrants looking to make their way north, usually to the US via boat. So Natalie busts up on this and then you have to go through the Darien Gap. It's just to paint a picture of how fucking dangerous and how desperate the people that are going from point A to point B are. Okay, there's like a heavy, life-threatening desperation that these people have.
Yeah.
So Van Zeller interviewed this masked dude who works for the Clan de Golfo, the largest cartel in Colombia. And he goes by the name The Wrecker. In this short interview, he said that they target the migrants, usually in Natalie waiting for a boat. They grab them and tie them up before he and a doctor cut the living person open and take their organs. It's usually kidneys and livers. Like these are the things that they can get. More of the vital organs, from what I gathered, are way more difficult
like
to...
people they don't know?
Yeah.
They just like kidnap people?
Yes.
Why do they do it when they're alive? Because they don't give a shit?
Well, he said that it's better, like the more living the organ is, the fresher it is, because they only have 36 hours from when it's removed to when it has to be implanted into a body for it to be viable. And obviously the shorter the better, you know?
That is fucking insane.
But the vital organs, you know, like hearts and lungs and stuff like that, are a lot harder to transplant. So they just deal with the easier stuff, you know, the kidneys and livers and pancreas and that kind of stuff. So he gets 15 to 20 grand per job. And at the time of this interview, he had performed dozens of these murders. And then these organs get shipped with cocaine to wherever they're going.
Holy shit.
And she was like, how do I know I can believe you? And he had fucking video on his phone and showed her.
Oh my God.
That they didn't show. But she was like, this is some of the most disturbing shit I've ever fucking seen in my life.
The person is just like losing, like screaming and stuff, right?
They didn't play any audio. They didn't play any of it.
They don't like knock them out or anything? Like
I don't know. There was no detail gone into. I mean, it was pulling teeth to get any of these people to tell her shit anyway. But she's like, you got to sift through the fucking ego. And that's the reason that anybody would even talk to me, is to be like, look at me, I'm fucking whatever. You know? So you have to kind of sort through all of that. It's really hard to get any information, like real solid information on this shit. So the fact that he had video, she's like, is this what you do? And he's like, yeah, look. And there's also groups who are paying people for their organs, but that is still pretty dark. In the episode, they say there are people in Panama lining up, you know, around the block to fucking sell their organs. you picture people outside of a hospital. I do anyway, you know. But there's this criminal group in Mexico that buys kidneys from Mexican citizens and resells them for transplants. And this masquerades as above board, but it's illegally run by the cartel and also involves unethical surgeons who are getting paid.
Okay.
So then the people that wish to sell their organs, these vendors, they keep them in a pretty rundown environment, like this fucking flop house looking place, for exams and blood work and stuff to see if they're viable for what they need. And they all know what they're there for, right? So these people are going to sell their own organs, but if they're not compatible, it's a problem for the operators to let them go. So a lot of times they just kill them and harvest the organs they can use to not leave a witness.
Fucking A.
These are just examples of letting you know that the current market is dark as fuck.
Yeah.
So what are the arguments to legalize it? Okay, so the pros say that it would be regulated, so obviously a higher likelihood of safety and success. And this would theoretically mean that the organ supply would increase, giving more potential recipients a chance at a transplant. There are also those who say that legalization would decrease or eliminate the red trade. This would mean better medical care for those being operated on, since there would be no fear of legal consequence when seeking follow-up appointments, you know, post-op issues. They would just go to the hospital. They're not going to do that if they illegally sold their fucking kidney, you know?
Right.
Also, the person actually donating would see more of the profits as opposed to a middleman, which is the current state. Right now, those actually giving up an organ see the smallest fraction of the end cost, and if they're lucky, lifelong health complications as a result.
Yeah.
If they're lucky, as in they don't die. So that sounds like, yeah, body autonomy plus all of these benefits, all of these positives, just like anything else. How we're like, yeah, legalize heroin and have a needle exchange and do all of this, and you're not going to have XYZ. But this shit's still going to exist. So the arguments against it obviously start with the abuse of the poor. People feeling that it's their only option to alleviate extreme poverty are going to be the ones that are taken advantage of. Nancy Shepard Hughes, a medical anthropologist who started the human rights group Organs Watch, investigates organ trafficking and has found time and time again people being forced or tricked into giving up their organs. In her writing, Bodies for Sale, Whole or in Parts, she says, quote, "Armchair bioethicists can ignore the real world and its messy social, economic, cultural, and psychological realities. They only need conjure up a hypothetical world where conditions can be controlled or manipulated so as to favor the logic of a market approach to increase the supply of human organs for transplantation." What she's saying is like, yeah, on paper, that sounds great, but that's not how this works. The people who are vulnerable to this coercion would remain vulnerable because the safety elements put in place require access to legal recourse. Okay. If they were coerced or defrauded, they'd need to go through a system that they either don't have financial access to or are already societally invisible to.
Yes. I was just going to say are already disregarded. Yeah. Like sex workers, you know, they're like,
Yeah. Yes. So
non-important entities or whatever they're called. Remember?
Yeah. So it's like, oh my God, you were so desperate that you had to sell a kidney. That's the bottom of the barrel, is how she explains it will be viewed. Not only that, but there are a litany of ways people can be coerced or defrauded as well. It's not just desperation. Family members or others who may be a dominant figure in that person's life, for example, those who may not have power of attorney over their own medical choices. People will sell all kinds of things that are precious to them when pushed by an outside source.
Right.
It's all to say it's not a black and white argument. But the other side of the coin has done some decent research, as little as it may be in the current market. It was found that of 305 kidney sellers interviewed in India, 2 had reported being coerced. But how accurate can that be when someone may not be completely forthright, when the people on the other end, the fucking harvesters, are probably fucking terrifying?
Yeah.
I.e. the fucking wrecker that I just told you about. The research is, like so many ethically controversial topics, limited. And this goes back and forth ad nauseum. I have a feeling it's going to continue to be in the pot of arguments along with drugs, sex work, and abortion for the unforeseeable future.
Yeah.
It's just a lot more nuanced than because I originally went into reading about this shit like, yeah, let's fucking do it. But the amount of loopholes that you have to close up to protect people is insane. Like, this isn't in the front of house, so it's not getting like front seat treatment.
Yeah.
To be able to make it be ethically viable. And then you even have to consider, you know, a doctor. You can't make a doctor, like, you have to decide whether that's an ethical practice and then be like, okay, you have to remove this person's organ for money, for them to make money. And this doctor may feel like it's not ethically sound, and so they're not willing to do it. And so, like, what's the law there? Does the doctor have to remove it? Does it?
Yeah.
It's just so, it can go on and on and on. But I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know.
Fuck, I knew that's how you were gonna.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, you covered the pros and cons so well. Now I'm confused about a topic I never really even thought of. So now I have to, like, think about it.
You don't have to.
But I do.
Okay.
Well, I want to, because I'm like, yeah, what's with that? What's up with that? No.
Right? What's up with that?
What's up with that?
Ooh-wee.
Why was Lindsay Buckingham always there?
Oh my
Speaking
God.
of Lindsay Buckingham, just kidding. I'm
Bitch,
not going to. I won't.
Do you know how hard that's in my algorithm now? I get so much Silver Springs bullshit coming up on my phone now, and I've literally never even played it.
Why?
I don't ever watch the shit you send me. I don't.
Not even the funny stuff?
Oh, no, the funny stuff, but not the Silver Springs stuff.
Why can't you just like something that I like?
I like a lot of things that you like.
But this is important to me. Just watch the 1997 one of them fight singing.
I've seen it, but I just
No, you haven't. You said you don't.
years. No, I said I'm aware of that one.
So frustrating.
Okay.
I'm not talking to you for the rest of the day. Just kidding. I'll call you in like 10 minutes.
Okay.
All right. So, yes, next week we have season 6, episode 23, Goliath. And I kind of think I remember this episode. Okay, so 2 cops are violent against their wives, but possibly it's linked to an anti-malaria drug they were given in the army. I think I remember this one. I feel like the guy almost shoots his kid or something.
Oh, this sounds like really hazy familiar.
Yeah, same.
Okay, well. See you then. See you then for our last episode of the season.
Can you believe it? Rate and review us. Email at svupod@gmail.com. If you want to send us a little something, P.O. Box 176, Deforest, Wisconsin, 53532. Our social media is at svupod. We got merch on svupod.com and tpublic.com. Our Facebook group is svupod Elite Squad. Facebook group chat, walk and talk. We have an offshoot Facebook group called Single Tomato Book Club. And if you're an indie pod or want to find little indie pods, search for or use the hashtag littlebitloud so we all can find each other. And join a Patreon. We got tons of extra fucking content, like insane amounts. www.patreon.com/svupod. And if you want to text us or send us a voicemail, call us at 1-920-345-7005. Again, 1-920-345-7005.
Yeah, and I mean, guys, the more you interact with our social media, like just go to Instagram, go to TikTok, do a little interacting so that we can maybe spread them a little further. Ew. Okay, love you, bye.
Try to get our legs in the stirrup of this whole thing. Okay, love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
That's what I thought was so weird about Dexter. I'm like, serial killers are pretty rare. Why are they all in Miami?
Like, there's so many in Miami.
Yeah. She's next in line as soon as a perfectly healthy person is murdered or has a terrible accent. No.
I'm dead.
Your Irish accent is terrible. Give that woman your kidney now. She's next in line as soon as a perfectly
They're like,
healthy...
do Jamaican. And you're like, I don't feel comfortable doing it. Fucking liver, bitch. We'll find out.
Airplane. This is the worst day.
What?
This is the worst day of my life. Shut up, Tasha.
You knew I was being shitty.
And to our Elite Squad patrons, Marissa M, Elkie H, Trisha S, Emily T, Katarina G, Mary D, Joshua H, Lem, Eliza W, Nikki B, Kaylin B, Melanie G, Andrew, Miranda B,
Lauren T, Katie A, Kate H, Vanessa, Lex, Shelby K, Bonita R, Marin, Courtney Dubs, Ursula, Catherine M, Kate P,
Jessica S, Danielle W, Jana M, Tammy J, Bayer, Sam D, Nisha G, Nada M, Mac Attack, Meg M, Casey, Abby W, Alexis J, Caitlin S, Christina D,
Camille Z, Maggie D, San, Jessica P, Zon and J, Madison H. It must have been love, but it's Emily over now. Victoria. Dude, my throat is so fucked, and I did not fucking on that, and I feel really good about it.
Yeah, you did. It was good.
Thank you. Victoria, Scout G, Melissa M.
Desiree R, Lexi Y, Drew B, Monica K, Katie S, Brenna T, Andrea M, Tosh, Jenna, Al H, Andrea H, Nikki R, my sweet, sweet Aunt Sarah,
Katie H, Vern, Catherine B, Ariana, Madeline K, Mallory J, Kristen F, Samara B, Damn Sam, Alice D, Amanda P, Mahalia S, Jules K, and Kimberly L. La 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 la. La 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 la. Okay, love you, bye.
Love you, bye.
Oh, thanks, you guys. Thanks so much. You're great. I love you. Bye.